Imagine a small country in Europe that was created almost by accident, yet it survived every big war in history. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we will explore the amazing and improbable story of Belgium. For hundreds of years, powerful empires tried to destroy it, divide it, or conquer it. But against all odds, this tiny nation stood strong and became the very heart of modern Europe. Let's dive into history and see why Belgium shouldn't exist and how it survived. To understand the story of Belgium, we must go back 2,000 years. In ancient times, the famous Roman leader Julius Caesar marched his strong army into Western Europe. He fought many fierce local tribes. Later, Caesar wrote in his famous journal that the Belgae, the people living in this northern area, were the bravest of all tribes in Gaul. That was the very first time the name of Belgium was ever recorded in human history. However, this brave start was also the beginning of a long curse. Belgium is located in a very special place on the map. It sits right in the middle between major world powers like France, Germany, and Great Britain. Because the land is mostly flat with wide rivers, it was very easy for large foreign armies to march across it. For centuries, whenever powerful kings had a quarrel in Europe, they did not fight on their own land. Instead, they marched their soldiers into Belgium and fought their bloody wars there. This unique location turned Belgium into the primary battlefield of Europe. During the Middle Ages, the Belgian land was not one united country. Instead, it was a collection of rich cities and small states. Famous places like Bruges, Ghent, and Antwerp grew very wealthy. Local traders bought soft wool from England, crafted high-quality cloth, and sold it to merchants across the continent. These cities built magnificent markets, high towers, and strong stone walls. But their great wealth made them an attractive target for greedy neighbors. Over time, different royal empires took control of these rich lands. First came the rich dukes of Burgundy. Then, through royal marriages, the land passed to the powerful Spanish Empire. Later, after fierce European wars, control shifted to the Austrian Empire. Foreign kings ruled the people of Belgium for hundreds of years. The locals had to pay heavy taxes to foreign rulers and suffer the continuous destruction of their peaceful towns. Listen closely to this dramatic turning point in European history. In 1815, the world witnessed one of the biggest battles ever fought on European soil, the Battle of Waterloo. The famous French leader Napoleon Bonaparte marched his massive army into Belgium to fight against combined British and Prussian forces. Napoleon lost the battle on a wet, muddy Belgian field. His huge empire collapsed completely. After Napoleon was finally defeated, the big European leaders met in the city of Vienna to redraw the map of Europe. They wanted to build a strong shield around France to prevent future wars. So, without asking the local people, they decided to join the Belgian lands with the northern Netherlands into one single nation called the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. This decision proved to be a massive mistake. The people in the north were mostly Protestant and spoke the Dutch language. The people in the south, which is modern Belgium, were mostly Catholic. Many people in the south spoke French or Flemish dialects. The new Dutch king, William I, made laws that favored his northern voters. He restricted Catholic schools and forced everyone to use the Dutch language in official government business. Anger grew quickly among the southern citizens. Rich merchants, poor factory workers, French speakers, and Catholic priests all felt ignored and mistreated.
Tensions began to boil over in the quiet streets of Brussels. Nobody realized that a simple opera show was about to light the fire of a total revolution. In August 1830, a very strange event sparked a brand new nation. People gathered inside the main theater in Brussels to watch a famous opera about a historic revolt in Naples. As the opera singers sang passionate lyrics about freedom and national pride, the audience became wildly excited. People stood up and shouted patriotic slogans. The strong emotions inside the theater quickly overflowed out into the city streets. Picture the chaotic scene on that warm August night. Angry citizens ran through the cobblestone streets. They smashed window glass, took down government signs, and attacked buildings owned by the Dutch government. Factory workers left their jobs and joined the crowd. Within days, small protests grew into a massive national uprising across major cities. King William I of the Netherlands was very angry. He refused to compromise with the southern rebels. Instead, he ordered his well-trained army to march directly into Brussels to restore order by force. In September 1830, thousands of armed Dutch soldiers marched through the city gates. On paper, the untrained Belgian rebels had almost no chance of winning against a regular national army. However, the local citizens refused to give up. Men, women, and young people pulled up heavy cobblestones from the roads to build barricades. They threw furniture and roof tiles down onto the Dutch marching soldiers from their upper house windows. Local snipers hid behind trees in the Central Park. After 4 long days of fierce street fighting, the Dutch army was forced to retreat. In October 4th, 1830, the brave Belgian leaders proudly declared their complete independence from the Netherlands. But declaring independence was the easy part. The new state had no official king, no real constitution, and no international support. Consider the huge political problem the rebels faced. The powerful empires of Europe, Russia, Prussia, Austria, Great Britain, and France, were terrified of revolutions. They worried that this new Belgian state would create instability or be absorbed by France. So diplomats from these great powers met in London to decide the fate of Belgium. The diplomats created a very clever solution. They agreed to recognize Belgium as an independent nation, but only under one strict condition. Belgium had to remain permanently neutral in all future European wars. It could not form military alliances with any side. To make the nation stable, they needed a respected royal figure to rule as king. They chose Prince Leopold of Saxe-Coburg, a respected German prince who had strong family links to the British royal family. In July 1831, Leopold rode into Brussels on a horse and swore an oath to honor the new progressive Belgian constitution. He became Leopold I, the very first king of the Belgians. Belgium was officially on the world map, but it was surrounded by powerful and jealous neighbors. The Dutch king refused to accept this loss for nearly 9 years. He sent troops to attack Belgium again, forcing French forces to step in and defend the new nation. Finally, in 1839, the Treaty of London was signed. All major European powers signed their names, promising to respect and protect Belgium's borders and its strict neutrality forever. Against all expectations, this brand new, tiny country began to grow at an incredible speed. In the 1800s,
The Industrial Revolution was spreading across Great Britain. Belgium became the very first nation on the European continent to adopt these new industrial methods. The southern part of Belgium had vast reserves of high-quality coal and iron ore buried deep underground. Notice how fast Belgium transformed its economy. Engineers built large coal mines, giant steel factories, and heavy machinery workshops around cities like Liège and Charleroi. In 1835, Belgium opened the very first commercial passenger railway in continental Europe, connecting Brussels with Malines. Trains moved raw coal, heavy factory goods, and workers quickly across the land. By the late 1800s, Little Belgium had built the second largest industrial economy in the entire world, right behind Great Britain. Belgium was growing very rich, but its new monarch wanted global power. King Leopold II came to the royal throne in 1865. He was an ambitious man who felt that his small country needed overseas colonies to become a true global empire. However, the Belgian parliament showed no interest in buying foreign land. Determined to gain power, King Leopold II acted completely on his own. He hired famous explorers to travel into Central Africa and sign treaties with local leaders. At a major European conference held in Berlin in 1884, Leopold cleverly persuaded other foreign leaders to grant him personal control of a massive region in Central Africa. This massive region was named the Congo Free State. It was not a colony of the nation of Belgium. It was the personal property of King Leopold II alone. This marked the start of one of the darkest chapters in modern human history. Around the world, the demand for natural rubber grew rapidly due to the invention of rubber tires for bicycles and early cars. The Congo had vast rainforests filled with wild rubber vines. Leopold's private army forced millions of local Congolese people to collect rubber under terrible conditions. Workers who failed to meet their daily quotas faced cruel punishments, including violence and the loss of their homes. Millions of Congolese people died from extreme cruelty, exhaustion, and widespread disease during this dark period. King Leopold II used the vast wealth extracted from the Congo to build magnificent palaces, wide avenues, and giant monuments across Brussels and Ostend. Listen to how international pressure forced the king to yield. Eventually, courageous journalists, brave missionaries, and international writers exposed these terrible horrors to the world. The outcry was so immense that in 1908, the Belgian government forced King Leopold II to give up his personal ownership. The territory became an official state colony named the Belgian Congo. Belgium was rich, powerful, and modern, but it was sitting right on the edge of a giant global disaster. The great neutral shield promised by European powers was about to be shattered completely. In the summer of 1914, dark storm clouds of war covered the entire European continent. A major global conflict broke out between powerful military alliances. On one side stood the German Empire, and on the other stood France, Russia, and Great Britain. Germany had a grand strategy called the Schlieffen Plan. To defeat France quickly, the German military high command planned to march their massive army right through flat Belgian territory to attack Paris from behind. Listen to the brave response from Belgium's young monarch. On August 2, 1914, the German government sent a strict message to King Albert I of Belgium. They demanded free passage for German troops through Belgian land. German commanders promised that if Belgium remained quiet, no harm would come to its cities. But King Albert I firmly refused. He famously declared that Belgium was a sovereign country, not a highway for foreign armies. On August 4, 1914,
German troops marched across the border, violating international law and breaking the Treaty of London. The small Belgian army was greatly outnumbered and outgunned by the German forces, yet Belgian soldiers fought with incredible courage. Around the city of Liège, Belgian forces held out in modern concrete forts, slowing down the German advance for precious days. This delay allowed British and French forces crucial time to mobilize their armies. Frustrated by this unexpected resistance, the advancing German army reacted with harsh brutality. German soldiers burned historic villages, destroyed priceless historic libraries in Leuven, and executed thousands of innocent Belgian civilians. International newspapers reported these horrors around the globe, calling the invasion the Rape of Belgium. As the massive German army pushed deeper into the country, King Albert I ordered his army to make a heroic final stand in the far western corner of Belgium, near the Iser River. Understand the clever and desperate trick used to save the nation. The Belgian forces were almost completely surrounded. In October 1914, Belgian engineers opened key sea locks along the coast, letting salty ocean water flood the low-lying plains along the Iser River. A vast wall of deep water filled the fields. German heavy tanks and heavy cannons became stuck deep in thick mud. The German advance was completely stopped. A tiny strip of Belgian territory remained free throughout the entire war. For 4 long, miserable years, Belgian soldiers led by King Albert I lived in muddy trenches along the Iser front. Meanwhile, fields around Belgian towns like Ypres became the site of terrible historic trench warfare. Hundreds of thousands of Allied soldiers from around the world fought and died in these muddy Belgian fields. When World War I finally ended in November 1918, Belgium was severely damaged. Its towns were ruined, its factories stripped, and its population exhausted. Yet through bravery and quick thinking, the small nation had survived its greatest test.
After the devastation of World War I, Belgium rebuilt its factories, towns, and railways. To protect itself from future conflicts, Belgium declared its official neutrality once again in 1936. The Belgian leaders hoped that staying out of international disputes would keep their nation safe from neighboring threats. Unfortunately, history was about to repeat itself in an even more dangerous way. On May 10, 1940, Nazi Germany launched a sudden blitzkrieg attack against Belgium, Holland, and France. German armored tanks bypassed heavy fortifications by driving directly through the dense Ardennes forest, which everyone believed was impassable. Despite brave resistance from Belgian troops, the modern Nazi military force moved too fast. After 18 days of intense fighting, King Leopold III made the difficult decision to surrender to German forces on May 28, 1940. Notice the deep political conflict that followed this surrender. The Belgian government strongly disagreed with King Leopold III's choice to surrender. Government ministers fled to London to set up a government in exile, continuing the fight alongside Allied forces. Meanwhile, King Leopold III remained in his palace in Belgium as a prisoner of war. During 4 painful years of Nazi occupation, brave Belgian resistance fighters worked in secret. They hid Allied pilots, destroyed enemy train tracks, and spied on German troop movements. Finally, in late 1944,
British, American, and Allied troops liberated Belgium. However, heavy fighting returned during the winter of 1944 in the famous Battle of the Bulge, leaving the Ardennes region heavily scarred. When the war finally ended, Belgium faced a dangerous internal crisis known as the Royal Question. Many Belgian citizens were angry with King Leopold III. People in French-speaking Wallonia believed the king was wrong to surrender, while many Flemish speakers in Flanders supported him. Protests and strikes spread across the country. To save the country from civil war, King Leopold III stepped down in 1951, passing the throne to his young son, King Baudouin. This royal crisis highlighted a deeper internal conflict, the growing divide between language communities. Belgium has two main regions, Flanders in the north, where people speak Dutch, Flemish, and Wallonia in the south, where people speak French. In the 1800s, Wallonia was richer due to its coal mines and steel mills. But in the late 1900s, heavy industrial factories closed down, while Flanders grew wealthy through modern tech, international trade, and ports. Political debates between these two communities grew heated. People disagreed on tax laws, official school languages, and political power. It seemed as though internal divisions might achieve what foreign armies never could, splitting Belgium apart for good.
Faced with deep internal divisions, Belgium developed a peaceful and clever solution. Instead of breaking apart through violence or civil war, Belgian politicians spent decades reforming their national constitution. Between 1970 and 2000, Belgium transformed itself step by step from a single centralized nation into a complex federal state. Today, Belgium is divided into distinct regions and language communities. Flanders, Wallonia, and the bilingual capital of Brussels each have their own local parliaments and governments. They manage regional roads, schools, housing, and culture, while the federal government handles national defense, national finance, and foreign affairs. This complex political balance works surprisingly well, keeping peace across the nation. In fact, Belgian politics became famous for complex political negotiations. In a national election in 2010, Belgian politicians argued for 541 consecutive days without forming a new federal government. This broke the world record for the longest time a democratic country went without an official government. Yet during those 541 days, daily life went on smoothly. Trains ran on schedule, schools stayed open, and hospitals functioned normally. While managing its internal balance, Belgium played a leading role in uniting the entire European continent. After suffering through two terrible world wars, Belgian leaders realized that European nations needed to cooperate closely to prevent future conflicts. In the 1950s, Belgium became one of the original founding members of what is now the European Union. Look at the central role Brussels plays in world affairs today. Because Belgium was neutral, central, and deeply committed to European unity, its capital city, Brussels, was chosen to host major international institutions. Today, Brussels serves as the official headquarters for both the European Union and the NATO military alliance. Decisions that affect hundreds of millions of European citizens and shape global defense policies are made inside modern glass buildings in Brussels every single day. A country that began as a vulnerable battlefield for foreign empires has successfully transformed into the political heart of modern Europe. Belgium's survival is an extraordinary historical miracle. Belgium is a country created by accident, caught between giant warring empires,
divided by different languages and lacking a single long-standing culture. By all historical logic, it should have collapsed or been absorbed long ago. Yet, through compromise, innovation, remarkable resilience, and a deep love for freedom, Belgium survived. Today, it remains a prosperous nation known around the world for fine chocolate, famous art, magnificent architecture, and a lasting spirit of unity.